ladies and gentlemen, my penis.
In this corner, my left nut. And in this corner, my right nut. And I guess my dick is the referee.
The referee. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Referee. Yeah, but you gotta. Wait. So you're. Why? What's the conflict? What's the backstory about why your testicles are fighting? Or is it like is it a thing out of like lust, out of love? Because they're both jealous and like I love the penis more. No, he's mine. No, it's mine. Is it that kind of deal?
No, man, it's a straight up exhibition match. Like,
interesting.
They're both I would say my left nut is like is sort of the young up and comer, like the recent heavyweight champ, and then my right nut is like, well, I'm gonna come back after a couple seasons of retirement to defend my title.
No, that's a good premise. What's the name of the fight? You know what I mean?
The boxers and my boxers.
That would suffice.
That was pretty bad.
You could do. It's pretty bad.
The rumble in my no. Because there was
Will my left testicle win or will my right testicle win?
The Thrilla in Manila was a famous fight.
It was.
Yeah.
Non-French European Pinot Noir.
That would be a great name for the fight between my testicles.
That would be. Yeah. It'd be great. All right, dude. All right, so I opened this up right away. I was like, should I open this up or should I like wait? Or like not wait, but like decant it, I guess, or let air, because that's a whole separate conversation we gotta have at some fucking point. But it's good because since we're gonna do the Patreon after this too, that general format, then we'll be able to talk about it. Let's see, for those who want to pay for this juicy shit.
If you want to get a ticket to the fight in my pants.
The fight in my pants. Even that's better than the boxers in my boxers. I mean, I think the boxers in my boxers, it works 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
The knockout with my cock out?
That's good. because your cock is out of the fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Your cock's not fighting. The knockout with my cock out. Nice. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm glad we got
the rumble
that
by
done.
My grumble?
The rumble by my grundle?
Yeah. I said grumble, but grundle. Yeah,
grumble.
Yeah.
Did you mean like tummy? Like your tummy's grumbling?
I guess, yeah.
Because you're hungry for penis?
Do people ever refer to the taint as the grumble? Am I making that up?
Grumble? No, a grundle.
Grundle.
Yeah,
that I must have just been.
Yeah. But
I didn't.
No, but I like I like the grumble, and then you have a thirst for penis.
Mm-hmm.
Or not
a hunger.
A hunger.
A hunger for a victorious nut. It is high acid, which I was expecting, but it's definitely got notable I like it. I have some thoughts about it that aren't necessarily entirely
Britannomyces?
No, I don't think it has. Well, no, I don't think it has Brett going on. I think it has VA. But not bad VA. Not like I can't drink this VA.
Yeah.
I think it just is I think it is an element to its acid profile that I'm picking up on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
it's
so tart on the palate that I can't really get over. Maybe it's a little bit of EA.
I was talking to this kid we might be doing an episode with in the future.
Yes.
Which I hope we do.
Yeah.
Actually, I got the one of the wines. It's the Armenian one.
Nice.
So I'm ready to go whenever. But I was talking to him because he was telling me about Georgian whites, and he's like, yeah, they can be pretty they're natural wines, but whatever. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not opposed. I've had a lot that I haven't liked, but I've some kind of same thing with skin contact whites, but I've had some that I'm like, oh, this is cool, and so I'm not gonna be super closed-minded about it, and he's like, yeah, no, there are definitely certain context with in which things make sense, and he's like, I think Georgian skin contact whites are the way to go for that because it's just how they've been made like forever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, so like I don't mind VA and Brett, as long as they're like in reasonable amounts. But I was like, I think EA is something that I don't ever really like in any amount.
No, I'm going to take back my statement about I don't think this has any EA going on. I think what I should really cop to is I think there's a little bit of VA. And I don't feel weird saying that because like I consider like perceptible VA to be basically the right threshold for VA in Pinot Noir, especially with like this. This is weird. I feel like it ties to what you're saying, but like this is both outside of what I'm used to with Pinot, but what I was hoping for from this bottle. Like I'm really happy with this because it is like this is definitely Pinot Noir, 100 like to the hilt.
Yeah,
but it is not French, and it doesn't give a shit about being like it is traditional to where it's from. So like I want to make really really explicitly clear that I'm not saying anything negative about this wine when I say that I feel like I can detect VA on it. I feel like that is, like, in terms of what it is, completely right for all this stuff. It also fits into what I'm reading about the producer, which is that they are, like, old school, like, serious, arch traditional, like, that's their shtick, is they're like...
Oh, nice.
Classical motherfuckers, which is cool, and I'm really really happy about this wine. It's all good things. I'm just struggling to get my mind out of the like normal ways I would talk about Pinot Noir or like expect Pinot Noir to taste. Sorry, but yeah, right. No, but with you want that stuff to be true to what it is. Like you don't want it to, you want it to be characteristic. But then, I mean, I have a hard time with Brett even when it's like in bounds,
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
EA is kind of the same way. Like it's I can see myself forgiving it probably a little bit more than you, just because like
EA you mean?
Yeah, just ever so slightly. I feel like I've had so many wines that I know had EA in their fermentation process. Like they developed EA and then it like blew off and stuff. That it's just hard for me to like not to like.
Yeah, like I don't have any problem with EA during the fermentation process as long as it goes away by the time I drink the wine,
Yeah, and I guess there's some wines where like just a twinge of it wouldn't like surprise me so badly that I would like it's definitely it's certainly something that's like I don't know, this falls into like the category the like, and it's like the most minute of edges of EA I could probably like be like, well, I might still like the I'm not even sure I could give you an example of a wine I've had where that was the case and I still liked it, but I could imagine a wine that had like a twinge of EA and I could forgive it, but likely that's not, like I'm trying to be hypothetically open to it, but I realize that that's kind of a silly stance to take. But then there are so many things
I don't
where
think so.
People, like, I don't want to say that if a wine has Brett, it's flawed and therefore is bad, or like if it has VA, it's flawed and therefore it's bad. Like, I don't believe in that with those things. I believe with enough of either of those things, like a wine's flawed and it's bad. I just, there's just so much, like with cork taint, like I've just had enough experiences where it's like, this is corked, but it's not, I can still enjoy this wine. And it just like bums me out when somebody at the table is like, no, it's fucked. And nobody can get over that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like we have sort of complementary perspectives. Like, if something's corked for me, even if it's like corked to the point where it's like, let's say I've had the wine a bunch of times, and I open up a bottle and it just totally muted, and I'm like, okay, this is corked. Like, I can't like taste or smell the wet cardboard, but I know that this is not what this wine is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it just smells totally muted. It's corked. And I'm like, fuck, and I just won't drink it.
Yeah.
And like if I have the option of bringing it back to the store, I 100% do immediately. But if I don't, then I'm still like it's a fucking shame, and I'll like whatever hold on to it and maybe decant it and hope it goes away or whatever. But it's like okay, so that's interesting because Brett, like, I feel like for me, because whenever if you're in like a winemaking perspective, you're like, oh, all right, these things are flaws, but I feel like Brett, more than any of the other ones, I say Brett or VA, it's it's totally like a stylistic thing. So like if you go into, let's say you have an older bottle of Bordeaux, or you have, like you're talking about, with some Italian reds, or like a Southern Rhone red, or certain wines that you just kind of, or Southern like Provence or down Languedoc, whatever, you just go into it with a certain expectation of like, okay, this is probably gonna have some Brett, or like it might be, so don't be shocked when it does. And then if it does, be like, okay, well, does this make sense within the context of like the wine as a whole?
Yeah.
And I like the analogy that is not my own of Brett being like mustaches, because I think that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And
if you've got a face like Sam Elliott, you can deal with it.
Right.
You know who had a great mustache?
Who's that?
Stalin.
Not the key member of history that I thought you would go with, but yeah, he did. He had a strong mustache.
Oh well, no, yeah, he actually had a good mustache. You know.
You saying Saddam Hussein didn't?
Actually, I think Saddam Hussein and Stalin had very similar vibes with their mustache.
Yeah.
Both real good looking stashes on those guys.
Oh yeah, they're strong mustaches.
Yeah.
That's probably why people like had confidence in them initially. Like, wow, you know what? I don't believe whatever that guy says. He's got a mustache. Like, imagine how much worse off and how much more deep of shit we would be in if Trump had a really great mustache.
Well, you know what's so funny about that whole thing is, like, in America, none of those guys can grow good facial hair. Like, none of them do. And the only one currently who, you know, has made any attempt to is fucking John Bolton. And if ever there was a mustache that needed a beard to go with it, god damn, that guy's chin is hilariously weak.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, in the world of people who, like, will use facial hair to cover up, like, I don't like that mentality. Like, I don't think people should grow beards or mustaches to, like, hide their faces or, you know.
Yeah.
I just don't think people should be ashamed of their faces. Like, everybody's beautiful. Just say that,
except for,
you know, it's like pretend that. But, like, you know, you live your life like John Bolton has for long enough, and you're going to look like shit. And, you know, then you're going to grow a mustache to try and detract from a chin that you seem to be ashamed of. And then people are like, no, that just focuses me on the fact that your face is like a weird triangle and you're like some sort of like horror version of the Lorax who's been inverted from like his purpose in Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Yep.
The Lorax, great mustache.
Oh, yeah. That was perhaps one of the best mustaches.
Yeah.
A mustache so good it could only exist in an alternate reality.
Yeah. No, couldn't actually have like a little orange Tic Tac man with nothing but an amazing mustache.
No, you couldn't. But you know what I do want? I do want like a decrepit old house like he had, you know.
Yeah.
Where it's always raining there. Like there's never a nice day at his house. He's got this perfect microclimate where you can't grow anything, you know. Mm-hmm. I'd love that, man.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
But this wine is really fucking good.
Nice. So, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Weingut Brundlmayer. So Weingut, so Weingut, and then Brundlmayer, Brundlmayer.
Brund.
Yep.
L.
Yep.
Ayer. All right, Brundlmayer.
It is their Pinot Noir Reserve from 2011.
Oh, nice.
Nice. It is very yum, delicious. And it's super cool. It's like I wasn't expecting like full-bodied or rich at all. I was expecting like lighter-bodied, high-acid, kind of like you were saying. And it's coming out of its skin now, but when I opened it, it was like very light, like pretty damn high acid, and very like more youthful than I was expecting. Because it's, you know, I mean, this again another thing we could talk about is that like supposed like awkward phase of Pinot Noir that it goes through, and this like might be in that, but if it is, it's like it's very like outgoing, and it's not necessarily conflicted. It's like if it is in sort of that transition phase, it'd be like a teenager who is like, no, like I know. Like everything fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But like I also know that like my brain is still developing and that I at like a really bizarre rate and I don't understand what's going on, and I understand I'm going to be a piece of shit for a little while, but like I'll figure it out and hopefully I don't do anything too fucked up. That's kind of what this wine's like, where it's like I know there's a lot going on. Like I'm getting some savory stuff. I still have a lot of fresh tart fruit, but it's like I'm working on it, and I'm gonna be straightforward, and hopefully I'm still delicious. And I'm like, don't worry, you are. You're still delicious.
Nice.
You're fantastic.
I'm trying to check out. I think there is a chance that. Yeah. When.
It says I'll just read a little bit about it.
Yeah.
This is off of their site.
Well. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. So so this is Austrian, and in Austria, Pinot Noir is called Blauburgunder.
Yep.
And I don't know, are you drinking German or Austrian?
Yeah, I'm drinking German.
Okay.
Nice. I'll wait till you read a bit about yours, and then I'll go into mine a little bit.
So it says this Blauburgunder was made with the ripest Pinot Noir grapes, especially from the top vineyards. I don't know how to pronounce this. I was about to say it like French-wise. Dechant, Decchant, and Kofferberg. The Dechant vineyard site is comprised of calcareous loess, clay soil terraces on the southeast slope, higher terrace clay with ancient rock gravel deposits. The Kofferberg site is eastern slope, 300 meters above sea level, so both pretty high altitude sites. Calcareous clay marine deposits there. Similar to that of Chateau Petrus. I don't know why they're...
Interesting.
It produces an extremely dense wine. Okay, so that would make sense. They're saying it produces dense wines.
Yeah.
It would make sense why this says... It does have that, like, fruit density that... It's weird. It doesn't feel, like, disjointed, but...
Yeah.
It feels like it has, like, layers. And there is an outer layer that is outgoing and perfumed and smells, sort of like... Like, with, like, properly matured, aged, like, wines, they are very, like... They smell like older, but they are like they're giving in terms of them being more perfumed and not like they're like subtle but expressive at the same time. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Without these like personified terms.
It's like that. It's like that old book smell where it's like it's a very straightforward thing, but at the same time that thing is so intricate. It's like looking at It's like looking at like a Celtic knot kind of thing. Like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's a Celtic knot, and then you just sit there staring at it for a while. Yeah,
exactly. So it has that going on, but then it also has that like density in terms of that like younger fruit. It's kind of like looking, if you look at like if you look at like a traffic cone, you flip it upside down and you look inside of it. There's like that very there's like that in the middle, you see that light all the way in the middle, that hole all the way in the middle, and it sort of just branches outward from there. If that makes any sense. Yep. That probably makes no fucking sense. But,
no, I feel like it's that weird, like, dissociative quality of looking through a telescope backwards.
Right, yeah. And it doesn't, for that reason, it can seem disjointed because there is such a big contrast. But my hunch is that as this, like, gets more air, it will become more, like, harmonious. Which is one reason why I think that decanting is a good and bad thing. But, anyway. Maturation, the wine is matured predominantly in 300-liter Austrian oak casks. First and second fillings for 18 months. Assemblage is made from selected barrel according to the prospective aging potential of their content. The appropriate selling, this wine should keep another decade or longer. And it is 9 years old, and it tastes like, well, in terms of aromatically and structure-wise, there's some acid and tannins. Another 10, probably, easily. I mean... But it does have, the tannins aren't super strong, but the acid's really high. And I feel like that's probably one of the most important aspects. No, it's the balance. But, I don't know. It's delicious, and you have to like that high acid style. So one of my friends I know who loves like richer, like Russian River Valley type Pinots, would probably really not like this. Just because it's like super, like, the acidity is piercing, and it's more like having a white wine almost than it is like a... It's more similar to like a Riesling than it is to like a Russian River Valley Pinot. Yeah. Which is really cool, and one reason I like it a lot. But I understand it's not for everybody. I wouldn't say the wine's challenging, but I would say it's
not for everybody. It's not. No, like it's just very much a thing about Austrian Pinot Noir. I actually think so. The thing I was trying to figure out when you told me where it was from. I'm pretty sure I've tried, if not that wine, their normal non-reserve.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was at a tasting event where I know they've been at that tasting event. I think they were there the year I got to go. There are a couple, like, I like Austrian Pinot a lot. I I really like the kind of character stuff you're talking about. Like it can be both very lean tannin wise and like body wise, but even when it's kind of got more sort of extraction and saturation of like color and stuff and weight, it is. Oh yeah, the one I was trying to look up is Weininger, which is, I believe, the entire. I might have them mixed up. Yeah, the entire vineyard and winery are within the city limits of Vienna.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
Their wines are great too. Like it's fascinating.
Are they?
Yeah, I really enjoyed them. But there was, I think, the other one that I got to try that day was Brundlmayer. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. But I think I've gotten to try that wine, and my memories, it's really, really, really good. Yeah. I've been wrong before. I've been wrong many times, but no, I'm a huge fan of Austrian Pinot Noir. Like I think Austrian, I think I've actually had more Austrian Pinot Noir than I've had any other like Austrian wine, and it was part of why I wanted to do this like non-French Pinot Noir, because I think Austria and Germany both do awesome things with Pinot Noir, and people just don't think of them as like Pinot Noir regions. I think people are more aware of like Italian Pinot Noir, which kind of makes sense. Like Italy makes a lot of Pinot Noir, but Austria and Germany both do just like really amazing things with Pinot Noir. I think they deserve. I think they deserve recognition for that in our silly little wine podcast, where we're obviously reaching the most people and changing the world's perceptions of wine.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've ever had an Italian Pinot that like blew me away. I've had some where I'm like, where it's like kind of the crunchy thing I get with a lot of like high altitude northern Italian reds. I'm like, oh, this is great. Was this fermented in like concrete or something? And it's just like super delicious and drinkable. And it's not normally what I associate with Pinot. I mean, there are a lot of Pinots that are like that, but it's a different characteristic, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just I normally expect something different from Pinot than that. So when I've had it, I'm like, I'm kind of just like thrown off.
No, I kind of tend to perceive like I like Italy's iterations of their sort of like, and they're not even heritage varietals, but like wines that are identified with Italy primarily. Like Italy just makes so much wine that they like make Pinot Noir and they make Chardonnay and they make all these other things, and they do them all well. Yeah. And occasionally they'll be examples of those things that I consider like excellent from Italy.
Yeah.
But I just tend to prefer like classic Italian varietals, even if they're done in like by a small producer or in a funkier way, because whenever I have gone to try like a Chardonnay or a Pinot Noir from Italy, it feels a little like this feels like you're just proving that you because you make so much wine and you have one of the most diverse like set of wine growing regions of any European country. You kind of have to show off how versatile things are, but it never feels like the thing that they're like jazzed about doing. Where Austria and Germany, but like whenever I've had Pinot Noirs from those places, it's like, oh, you really like feel like Pinot Noir is the best thing you could be growing here, and you're doing it in an exciting way that France can't. Which and that's a very American looking at European sort of perspective on it, I suppose, or needlessly combative. But
I mean, no, I think it makes sense because like a lot of the places that like in Piedmont, right? Like they're proud because they're like, you can't make this anywhere else.
No, you can't.
In like Germany and like Pfalz and Austria, it's like, no, you can't make Riesling or Gruner like this anywhere else.
Yeah.
And same thing in like Chablis and whatever in the Côte de Beaune and like all these, and Champagne, all these kind of places that like,
or like the way that Chenin is done in the Loire.
Oh, it's incredible, yeah. And for me, like, it's the same thing having Pinot or Chard or like Franciacorta. Like, it's delicious, but it's like, is it ever anything that like Champagne can't be? I don't really think so. And now I haven't had the most stunning examples of Franciacorta or whatever, like, but all those places where things are done and are known for being done like the best, there is sort of the attitude, and I think it is sort of probably an American perspective on it, but like it's a reason why I will respect like Cab from like Napa more than I would from like if they made it in like Connecticut or something. I don't know. I mean, that's not a good example, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I think I get it. Where it's like everywhere in the U.S. is going to like make it. The things that everywhere in the U.S. are going to make attempts to grow are Pinot Noir and Cab if they think they can at all, as far as reds go.
Yeah,
because those are reds that American producers have been able to get clout with, and Oregon is like there are producers who grow Cabernet in Oregon, and I don't think they do a great job. I think they do. Like, I think it's fine, but it's not. Yeah. Napa is, like, genuinely, I think, one of those special places in the world where you can achieve sort of a pinnacle with terroir. I can't afford those wines, and I've only gotten to try a couple of them, but I really do admire them.
We haven't done a Cab episode yet.
No, we haven't.
Damn.
The cat's checking out the microphone. I think he wants me to feed him, but there might be some weird noise on the old recording. He's purring very loudly. He's also quite large, so he might knock everything on the table over.
Nice.
But yeah, that idea of like, because varietal specificity to a place is so tricky, and when you have ground that you can grow basically anything with, which they do in a lot of parts of Italy, I think is kind of worse than having ground you can basically only grow one thing on.
Right.
And that makes it harder to determine which things you can grow perfectly.
Yeah.
And the Germans
That's a good point.
have a long history of just like there are German Riesling vines that are over 100 years old that have been in the same vineyard. Like literally the vines are over 100 years old. And
that's crazy.
That's, in places where they've been growing Riesling for well more than that. So they just know, like, Riesling grows so well here. Why would we grow anything else? Because we can do things with Riesling here that are truly unique. And and Germans, being very German, like, that's what you're going to do because it's what you do.
Right.
And in Italy, they just have so much ground that you can do basically anything with it, unless, somebody already had Nebbiolo there, or somebody already had Barbera there, and it was deeply, like, identified with what that place was. Yeah. People are growing all kinds of stuff that it's like, we're doing this as well, and it's like, all right, it's right. Yeah. But I think both in Germany and Austria, they like have places where they have that relationship with Pinot Noir that goes back a long way. And I'm not saying that doesn't also exist in Italy. It totally does. It's just that Italy is so much more like just like it's a long, thin strip of land that suffers so many complications in terms of weather and climate that Germany and France both have, I think, bigger zones of like, no, this is what the weather is here, and there's less like there's less minutia to all of it, and less diversity across the whole country, I suppose. Yeah.
Also, I think I didn't really think about is like in Barolo or Barbaresco, like let's say there's like some weird microclimate in some patch of like 2 hectares or something where it's like the best land for Pinot Noir, like in, I don't know, like let's say in all of Europe or something. You make that wine, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna label it as?
Yeah.
You're in Barbaresco, you're in Barolo, like it's not a Barbaresco or a Barolo. You're gonna have to be pushing this Pinot Noir, on people as this unlabeled weird thing.
I don't think you'd even be able to sell a DOC. Like you'd have to go.
No.
Yeah.
You'd have to go like say like Longue or something. Like, so you have to. Even that.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think you. Well, yeah, I think you could call it Longue, but yeah.
But I don't know. You know what I mean? It's so.
Which people literally do. People do that.
I mean, that's the whole thing with like Super Tuscans. Yeah. It's like, it's just, they wanted to do cab blends, and then they were like, all right, we're just going to call it like table wine.
Yeah.
And so like $200 bottles or $300 bottles of Super Tuscans just say like red table wine on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, sure, they can do that because they get like 100 points from Parker and critics and whatever, and they don't have to worry about selling their wine. It's like a joke, basically. But, for other places, if you're some small grower in like the Loire Valley or something, you're going to think twice before planting like Dolcetto there or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but yeah, I think you're right. And also because like Italy is so big and has so many weird like pockets, there are areas that like, even if there is like a DOC there, or a DOCG even, it might be so obscure that nobody knows like what the hell it even is. So it's like, all right, well, what do you have to lose by growing something else?
Yeah.
Versus like, somewhere else where you have more to lose.
Yeah. No, nobody in Barbaresco is making that gamble.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Especially, and I don't think they should, because they can grow Nebbiolo there, and I love Nebbiolo.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh.
You should do another Nebbiolo episode.
You should indeed.
Hey man, well, once we get the big bucks from the Patreon, do you think anybody else is actually going to sign up for that? Like, ever?
I don't know.
Probably not. Who gives a shit? But if they did, then, yeah, we could do the fucking cruise of Barolo. That'd be awesome.
It would be.
But, anyway. But yeah, so I didn't ask you, what wine are you drinking?
Oh, yeah, so, I'm drinking Koehler-Ruprecht, 2017, their Kabinett Trocken.
Could you spell that out?
Yeah, so it's Koehler dash Ruprecht.
Koehler-Ruprecht.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
David Bowler and Louis Dresner selection.
Indeed.
Cool. All right. Let's see.
Yeah. And it's from Pfalz.
Nice. Ooh, I love Pfalz. Makes so much good shit there.
They do indeed.
Oh, nice. And what? Wait, which one is it? It's their
Kabinett Trocken.
Does it say Spatburgunder on it?
It does not say Spatburgunder on the label.
Does it say Pinot Noir on the label?
Mm-hmm. I think it is an Americanized label, but yeah.
Got you. Oh yeah, for everybody out there. Oh man, so fucking good. Everybody out there. Yeah, Spatburgunder is German for Pinot Noir, and then Blauburgunder is what it is in Austria.
Indeed.
Nice.
Indeed, Lorino.
And what vintage you got there, my guy?
I got the 2017.
Nice.
Yeah. So it is. It's young Pinot. Like, it's got all of the hallmarks of high acid, slightly reductive, young Pinot.
Nice.
But it's great because it's like super classically Pinot. It's Pinot Noir Pinot Noir, but very noticeably not like
Dude, Pinot's so fucking good.
Yeah. No, and if you
man.
poured this for me blind, I think it would be a mean wine to pour for someone blind, because it's got that little bit of lift that I would associate with VA, but it's so clean and so and the fruit is so sort of so fresh, like the cherry quality to the fruit, and there is like tenacity to it. It's not like an expensive bottle of wine. Like, it's not it's nothing remarkably special in terms of like scarcity or whatever, I suppose. But like it's got a few things going on that, like, very clearly to me, I'd be like, this can't be Burgundy in my head, because it's too I don't know what the right way to put it would be. It's too
chuggable.
Yeah. It's just too drinkable. It's not austere enough. Like, it's austere in character, but not in like because Burgundy can have this way of being austere by being sort of flat, where you feel like you need to give it time to open up. Whereas this
like that one I had the other night.
Yeah, it's because this is tight but not thin.
Yeah,
and
which just means it needs air.
Yeah, and it's getting better as I drink more of it. So, and swirl it around in my glass. It also has a tannin character that I think is I don't think I associate with Burgundy. I associate Burgundy with very, like, sort of fine, and also like, well, this is the problem, is like Burgundy is so broad in itself. Like, it's hard to say. But honestly, I think it might be the bit of reduction that I'm getting from this that would make me say, oh, this is probably like an Oregon Pinot Noir. Like, that's what, if you poured this for me blind, I would guess it was from Oregon, probably. But from a producer who wasn't afraid of, like, whole cluster, and I don't think that's why this wine tastes this way. I think it has more to do with probably the viticulture, and then some elements of how they made it. I'm sure, like, I don't know. This is I just like it a lot. but I feel like it would confuse people if it was poured for them blind, because it has those like it just has this great dark cherry flavor that I struggle to get from Burgundy sometimes, but is very much a thing.
What do you think they would say it is?
I think people would guess this was New World. I think
no, but I mean in terms of the grape.
If it was poured for someone blind, I think people would guess Pinot Noir. I think you'd be able to get it.
Okay.
I think if you poured this for someone, they would be able to pick Pinot Noir. Maybe you'd guess like maybe Cinsault or like maybe Cinsault. I don't know if that's the right one to go with, but like I could see someone maybe thinking this was. I think someone could pick that this was Pinot Noir pretty well.
Yeah. I think Pinot has kind of I think it kind of has the unique ability to have such high acid.
Yeah.
And like it has a unique acid like its acid and tannin profile together is unique. Like I feel like no other grape can have. I mean, I'm sure there's some obscure fucking indigenous grape that can do it, but out of the whatever, like 20 common ones, like you can have this high of acid and not taste underripe, and have tannins that aren't super like astringent.
Yeah, and this just has that. It has that combination of real developed fruit and true like phenolic ripeness while being pretty damn cutting.
Yeah.
And it's just so I like, to me this just screams Pinot Noir so clearly, and I think that somebody would, and you know what, maybe I wouldn't even get that blind, but I feel like blind I'd be like, no, this is Pinot Noir. It's
like, what else would it be?
Yeah, almost. But I think you could, like, one that I don't know well enough, but can be just all over the place in terms of, like, its acid profile can be pretty intense, and then it can be very beguiling, just in a lot of ways, is Trousseau. Like, maybe.
I see what you're saying, but at least the handfuls of Trousseaus that I've had aren't typically as, like, they're much sort of lighter on their feet. And it's almost like you're drinking Pinot Noir flavored. It's gonna sound like Pinot Noir flavored, like not water, but like I get Pinot Noir light, kind of.
Yeah,
I guess that's how I describe it.
And I can see this sort of like, I maybe would be like, but yeah, I don't know Trousseau well enough that would be my guess if someone blinded me on this. Is what I mean. Like,
Gotcha.
What's the other? It's not. There's another light red besides Cinsault.
I would say like maybe. No, go ahead.
Is it Carignan?
Carignan, maybe.
I've only had a couple Carignans, I think.
Yeah.
The same's true with Trousseau. Like I've had a couple, but like yeah.
Trousseau, I think would be the tannins would not be as nearly strong, at least for this one. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But like I've never had like a grippy Trousseau.
Yeah.
Like ever. And I would say maybe Grenache could have the same like acid to tannin profile.
But Grenache is so plush flavor wise.
Yeah, it is pretty like expressive and just like,
and its acid usually doesn't, like, it usually needs something to like bump its acid kind of sort of like into a more focused place. Like, it can have acid, but I feel like it doesn't have structure in the same way.
Grenache?
Yeah. Like,
oh no, I think it totally can.
I guess I've had, like, I guess they're just sort of normally so, like, I just don't associate that with, like, the same sort of, tannic, like, refinement in combination with the acid.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, I gotta get you gotta come out here, and then I have to open a couple of these wines with you, these ones I'm thinking of in particular, and you're gonna be like, holy fucking shit. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, man, this is what I've been telling you about, partner.
Yeah.
But no, I think Grenache is really... I saw this one post, it's one of these guys who, like, he just, on Instagram, he just posts pictures of, like, him drinking Dagenau with Rias and DRC and, like, all this, like, these fucking ridiculous, like, First Growth Bordeaux with Dominus and, like, just Screaming Eagle and, like, all the most expensive wines possible. And he posted a picture of Rias the other day, and together with I don't know, some bottle of Burgundy next to it, and saying, like, truly stunning, the closest Grenache could ever get to DRC or something like that. And I'm like, that's not... I mean, I've never had DRC. I've never had, like, full-blown Rias before. But, like, that's just a bad kind of, or like an unfair characterization of something when they're completely distinct.
Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna do that, at least articulate in which aspects you're comparing them. Like you could say, oh, as close as you're gonna get to DRC in terms of like tannin to acid profile, or in terms of like body to aromatics or something like that. But rather than just saying like comparing this one to this one, it's like that means nothing.
Yeah, if you're gonna make those kind of assertions, I appreciate it when you have like even if I might not understand them at the time, I appreciate it when people are very specific when they make claims like that. Yeah. I haven't had DRC, so I don't know what he's talking about, but I want him to be specific about what that relationship kind of is. Man.
I want us to succeed in this.
I do as
like
well.
So badly. Yeah. So like I'll go through. I told you this today, but I'll go through phases being like, man, this is fucking stupid and bullshit, and it's completely like useless and worthless, and it's like, yeah, no, it is. But also, like,
it's fun.
People will pay you for meaningless, worthless bullshit. Also, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Like, where's the harm in us just putting this shit out there?
I'm trying to think of, there's something about, now you've got me on this kick of, like, there's this quality of the tannins in walnuts when you eat them that I think is not quite, but basically unique to Pinot Noir in how it presents tannins.
Dude, that's funny. I just ate walnuts today for the first time. I mean, like a handful of walnuts today, the first time for a while, so it's especially fresh in my mind. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it's that little character trait that I think would keep me stuck on Pinot if I was blinded on this. Yeah, and it's that bit of like, it's so true and it's so well balanced and expressed in this wine that it just makes me happy in like this is just Pinot Noir, and it's Pinot Noir outside of like my normal conceptions of Pinot Noir. But is being so deeply true to like what matters to me most about Pinot Noir. It's
100%.
I love that.
I think so. Yeah, one thing I've tried to describe to people, which doesn't really make any sense to them, but I think it'll make sense to you, is describing like walnut tannins as like waxy tannins.
Yes.
Because it has, when you eat a walnut, it has this sort of like, they're very, very high in fat, and just the texture of it generally it's kind of waxy. Yeah. Like untoasted. And then, so that fat naturally sort of like lubricates your teeth and your tongue. Yeah. But like the peel of the skin of that walnut, together with like the astringency inherently in it, like the thing about walnuts is you need to really chew them to get the tannins out. Yeah. So it's like the texture of that like waxy nut together with the tannin, they're inseparable. Yeah. So you almost feel the tannins on your teeth. Yes. As much as you do on anywhere else in your mouth. And I think that's kind of what freaks people out about walnuts, is because you can feel tannins like on like the roots of your teeth. You feel them between your teeth. It's so weird. But you need
that idea of like when somebody says like long chain tannins, that is like, that's what they're talking about, is like those like that, because that's the uncut good shit, right? That is the raw expression of all of that, and wine, it's so fragile because it comes to you in such a like, and it's not like actually that fragile, but like the longest, most sort of like just the sweet spot of those tannins is so hard to like capture. That window is so delicate to hit. Yeah. And Pinot Noir is I think so special to people because that relationship of those of preserving those tannin chains, and then how they're expressed by the acidity of the wine. So you're getting that experience, but you strip it of the like sort of fatty flesh of the walnut that buffers it when you eat a walnut. So then you're getting it in comparison with acid and fruit flavors that are just like the raw molecules of fruit flavor, all just suspended in in alcohol. Is you're just getting this intensity of all of that stuff that you have to really like wine teaches you to care about how to taste the other stuff you put in your face well 100%. because it jumbles those things up in ways that you aren't used to, right? Like you get tannin and you get acidity and you get flavor recombined in all of these formulations that sometimes just aren't good until you pair them with certain food, and other times are amazing, and you're like, well, why can't anything else do this? And it's like, because you don't ever see these things in these combinations. You literally can't 100%. Anywhere else.
Yeah.
And for these molecules to exist in a stable form is basically impossible unless you're buffering it with all these other molecules that will then change your perception of it. So you won't realize until you drink a wine that has that going on with it, that there's a specific part of like the flavor of halibut, or the flavor of like scallops, or the flavor of a pear that is actually a completely unique component of the rest of what you're tasting when you have that in your mouth. And you can totally separate it from like just raw fructose in, say, the pear example or something. Like the skin of a pear and the rest of the pear, or like blackberries having it's this is like a, you know, one of those, like, blackberries are the fun example because they're a very obvious one of like people being like, oh no, like the molecules that make like anthocyanin molecules in black raspberries, the same exact molecules show up in Pinot Noir and certain other red wines. So it's not that you're just tasting something that tastes like a black raspberry or blackberry. You're tasting a blackberry in the context of alcohol instead of sugar. And, you know, it's like this will bleed really well into the Patreon episode discussion I want to have with you, which is kind of based on what we were talking about earlier, but has to do with like context and the importance of context in like the world, or in thought, I suppose. Because it's burdensome to have real context, but also incredibly crucial, because the reason that like the flavor of black raspberry is beguiling in wine is because you're used to it in a or not a black raspberry. That's another important flavor in wine to me. But blackberries. The reason the flavor of blackberry in wine is so beguiling is because you're used to just blackberries, but you're used to it buffered with sugar instead of alcohol, and with not nearly the same acid, spectrum. Like it's still got acid, but it's a different acid spectrum. So like just learning how to accept that there is this particular flavor that you won't really fully understand in its own right unless you drink wine and eat blackberries, because there's this thing between the two that you can between the two of those things meditate on. It's just such a cool thing. And like, I'm not saying that you have to drink wine to understand blackberries or something, but like just that wine is this incredibly powerful tool to become aware of sensory perception in this really special way. That incredibly it's just incredibly cool.
It is. No, I mean, that reminds. So there's like, I wrote down like 4 different points. So, so it's this. So what you were saying about blackberries, it's the same thing with black pepper and Syrah.
Yeah, that was the other example I was gonna use.
Yeah, was it Romarantin or something like that? Is the compound responsible for pepper, like the smell of black pepper, and it's also in Syrah. Yeah, so it's not like, oh, this smells like pepper. Like, no, this is the same compound.
Yeah, well, wasn't it that they were like looking for other compounds and be like, well, could this compound be the overlap, or why people think that they are this similar? Or like, they were looking for all these compounds in Syrah, and then they were like, well, what if we just look for the compound itself? And then they found it. We're like, oh,
yeah, it's like, right there.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like eucalyptus. I mean, eucalyptus is more like straightforward, but you know, because people are like, oh yeah, no, the eucalyptus smell in like Cab and Syrah, like in Australia, and certain ones in in Napa, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, this must be like because eucalyptus is native there, and it's like, I mean, yeah, it is, but it's literally also just from like eucalyptus pollen or eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah.
Just falling into the ferment, or like whatever, like bits of, you know, eucalyptus blowing onto the grapes and staying there, it gets harvested and fermented there. So that's not even like a product of fermentation like the Romarantin is. Eucalyptus is just falling in. But also you're saying how like it's this thing that seems inconceivable to people unless you pay attention to it. Like, I remember telling one of my friends who used to work with, being like, he was giving me shit for like being super into wine, and like, all right, dude, like imagine like you know why it's crazy? Because it's like, all right, we can make this dish, right? This incredibly complicated dish. It's super cool, right? Like, yeah. I'm like, all right, imagine like you had something that smelled like whatever, like blackberries and like dark cherries and like cranberries and red currants and also like thyme and mushrooms and like sage and like bramble and earth and like like a little bit of like flint and a hint of vanilla and like all like stems and like all this kind of stuff. He's like, that's not possible. I'm like, no, it literally is possible. It's called Pinot Noir.
Yep.
But just wine in general, to smell something that is more complicated than any dish you could really create is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And again, you can't understand that, or even like, yeah, you can't understand that unless you experience it. And that's what I think is that sort of like epiphany wine moment where like it clicks for people because they're like, oh shit, I didn't realize that was possible, until it's like it has to be stated for you.
Yeah.
In front of you.
Yeah. When you have to provide the example with the statement because it just sounds so insane.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's gonna be relative to everybody, you know.
Yeah, well, it's a big reason why I like the 15 Irie Pinot Noir, the Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. That was the first Pinot Noir, like the first episode, one of the first episodes we did. I love that Pinot Noir so much because it you know, it's one of those wines that it can bear that kind of statement, you know, like you can make that claim to somebody and then pour that wine for them and they'll be like, oh, wow,
yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's just like we're purposefully with this episode like talking about Pinot Noir outside of, I would say, our normal wheelhouses with stuff, and it's about how that core truth of what makes Pinot Noir really good is about like is about expression, and the all of those core things that are so true. On top of that are all of these, you know, intricacies of difference, of like difference in like what we're trying to establish is, or like not necessarily, but like the context of Pinot Noir itself as this thing we have a concept of means that everything about each wine we're drinking right now can mean so much more to us for where it comes from.
Yeah,
because then all the differences start to really matter, and stuff that we don't understand or have a previous relationship to, which is the other fun part of like wine is discovery. That, you know,
100%. What was the other thing? Working backwards. Oh yeah, you were saying certain wines just I don't remember, but exactly how this fit into what you were saying, but. Remember I was like, oh yeah, I got this really cool bottle of Sagrantino. Like we should try it.
Oh yeah.
Or, like we should do an episode on that. And so I had that bottle. I found one at the store. It was like dusty as hell. It was like in 2012 or something, and it was like super cheap. And I was like, all right, I'll pick it up, and it was delicious. And I was reading online about Sagrantino, and people are like, a lot of people just don't drink it because they're like, it's just way too fucking tannic. Like you just can't drink it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so I found a different bottle at a different shop, same price, you know, cheap. It was like a 2010 or something. So I opened it up the other day with my friend, and I was like, yeah, what do you want to open up? Like this one or this one? And he was like, which one do you think? And it's like, oh, the one that, you know, I had that I trusted, and the other one I had to know, maybe I'll wait another 5 years or something. He was like, let's go with the other one. And I was like, okay. And we had it, and it was way too tannic. I think we were having like, I don't know, we were having like poultry or something. And it was so fucking tannic. It needed like I don't even know if it could be consumed. Like if you had a mouth full of fat, like mouth full of lamb fat, maybe that would be like, oh, okay, this is what I need. But even then, it was like, Jesus Christ, this is insane. So, I mean, supposing there was some really, really rich fatty dish you could do, that's the only time that wine would really make any sense and actually be like enjoyable.
Yeah, but even then, in the retrospect of that meal, you're just not going to be like happy with your memory of it because you're just going to be so fucking bloated having to like consume fat like that to, you know.
To just
you're just gonna be looking back like, oh god, you're just associating that wine with like sitting on the toilet the next morning just kind of sweating. Like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah. God damn it. I want to pick out certain wines, decide ahead of time what wines they are, and then design the dishes around the wines to try to match the wines like perfectly. So rather than being like, oh, this would go great with this Pinot or whatever, it's like, no, I'm either trying to like, so like with this wine, right, I would do some sort of, like now that we've talked about it, it makes total sense, doing some sort of like walnut either like have like a walnut sauce or do like a walnut curry or like something like that where that plays a prominent role, so the tannins match up and it makes sense.
Yeah.
This is like a unique sensation in terms of it being saying it's like a self-realizing dish is like me sucking my dick way too much, but like sort of like a self-reflecting
it's not
sort of
sucking
thing
your own
where
dick
it's
because this is an aspirational thing. Like you're saying you're going to try to do this thing. It's like
that's true.
You haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So don't get this is a quality that like I think we both suffer from a little bit, which is like feeling like assholes for trying to be great at something. It's like we're not saying we are great. We just want to be great.
But just the fact that I want to be great at it makes me a fucking piece of shit.
Well, we both have
why should I want to be great at it?
We both have way too much privilege to ever feel like we both have enough privilege and enough contact with these circumstances where we understand that like we don't trust people we know who are considered great because we have a lot of reason to like be skeptical of that and also know how much privilege played into people telling them they're great. So,
exactly.
I thoroughly respect the skepticism.
That's true.
Because I think it's very, very healthy. I just also want to be a voice on your shoulder saying, "Go for it, man."
Right. But also, even if we did produce some of the same things that these like other people did, it's almost like without their personal connections and them just being them and all that kind of shit, there's like it's very likely that we would not gain the same sort of...
Oh no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because it would because also in a lot of context, it wouldn't be great. It would be because we didn't have those connections, so no one gave a shit we did it.
Right. Okay.
Just like
we're on the same
this
page
podcast, no one is giving a shit we're doing this yet, buddy.
Oh, dude, no. Like, if we knew Robert Parker... No, but the whole point is, like, fuck Robert Parker.
Yeah. Well,
not the whole point, but kind of.
No, I would say it's specifically fuck James Suckling.
Oh, dude, I was actually thinking... I was laughing at that before. We'll save it for the Patreon, but... do you want to wrap this up so then we can...
Yeah, I was going to say we're getting right into it with time.
Okay.
I don't know if there are other points we need to make, but, like, other places besides the U.S. and France, and really more importantly, other places besides France and California. Just because California is like when people think of wine in the U.S., they think California, France, right? Like, other places can do Pinot Noir so well, and in ways that teach you why people value Burgundy so much. Because a thing that like this, a thing that this German Pinot Noir is reminding me of is like certain Oregonian Pinot Noirs and certain Burgundian Pinot Noirs that do what it's doing about Pinot Noir better, and because they just distill even further into that thing. I'm not saying that like this is one of the best wines I've had in a while. I really, really like this one. I want to make that very, very clear, and anyone who sees it on the shelf should go buy it and try it, and then write to me about like either why they agree or disagree with me, because I want to get into big long discussions about all that stuff because it's my favorite thing to do. No, like the like New Zealand Pinot Noir or Australian Pinot Noir or South African or even like
Argentinian.
Chilean, yeah. There are Pinot Noirs from all over the world that it's important to give a chance to, because I think like Pinot Noir is so fickle that it's going to work in weird places in weird ways where it just is very true to itself and its place at the same time. And I think that there's a great little fucking cartoon where what is the rhyme? It's very annoying, and you're gonna hate me when I say it, but what is it? It's Cabernet Sauvignon is... What is it? Cab is cab wherever it's done, but Pinot Noir is wherever it's grown? I don't know. It's some dumb phrase about, like, Cabernet Sauvignon, you're always trying to sort of aim at the same, like... Well, this is a weird... this is longer than it was supposed to be as a, like, statement about this wine, but, like, what we were saying about Nebbiolo, where Nebbiolo is so specifically associated with Barbaresco and Barolo and Italy, and this idea based on those places of what Nebbiolo is, that it will never be able to be divorced from that, even if it's grown effectively somewhere else and tastes good. Like, it needs to be like that. And Pinot Noir sort of flips that script, where you can grow it right in a lot of different places, and that'll mean a lot of different things. But the more you get to know it from all those different places, you'll know when it's right and when it's being done correctly to show off where it's being grown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might not be the best way to say that, but I'm not gonna do a better job right now. So fuck.